Hey there, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. And I come live with a crafting video on Facebook every Friday or most Fridays at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Okay, just getting my space set up here. All right. Okay, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody's having a great week. Looking forward to the weekend. Before we get started, I want to share a couple things that are happening right now. We've got the Savings Are in Bloom promotion that's going on right now. So it goes from March 1st to 31st, and the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and several bundles are on sale for 20% off, and that is while supplies last. So there is a chance that some of these bundles will sell out or products will become unavailable. So if there's anything that you've got your eye on this list, you might want to place your order sooner than later. And I will be sharing, well, the card that I create today is using one of the bundles that are from here, and then I have an alternate to share with you using a second bundle from this collection of bundles that are on sale. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's see here. Good morning, Debbie. Okay, and then the other thing that I wanted to share, good morning, Tracy, is I received the new Robot Buddies card kit yesterday, and it is adorable. So I wanted to share it with you. I have not had a chance to actually create anything with it. But I will over the next weekend I have a crafting retreat. So I plan on creating with this. I've got a couple ideas. So I wanted to share the contents of the kit, and it's always better to see the kits in person. Sometimes the pictures just don't do it justice. So I wanted to share what's in this one. So you get 2 ink pads. You get the Pumpkin Pie and Bermuda Bay. Of course, you get the instructions, and look how adorable these cards are. Super, super cute. And then look at this stamp set. Like, let me put it up against some white so that you guys can see it. You can build your own robot. It's so cute. So there's a couple bodies, a couple different heads. There's some gears, happy birthday, and let's be friends. So adorable. Look at these little eyeballs. How fun are those? And then, of course, you get a block. And then you get the supplies to create the cards. So these are the envelopes. So they're white with like a pale blue stripe, and then a fun little navy gear kind of pattern on the inside. You get some speech bubbles. These are just die cut pieces. And then look at all these stickers that you get. You can create so many different things with these stickers. My son was in robotics when he was in junior high and high school, and I've got a couple photos that I have not documented yet. And so these are just going to be perfect for that. And they're not just for little kids. They're super cute. If you've got engineers in your life, like, wouldn't these make an adorable little card for them? Okay. Good morning, Auntie Donna. We've got some white layers, some more speech bubbles. There are some dimensionals in here. So it is an all-inclusive kit. The card fronts, it makes 9 cards, so you get 3 each of 3 designs. So this one has a little bit of grass and some clouds. Look at how fun this is. And then we've got this one with the light blue gears on it. I know, right, Tracy? Tracy said that she might have to get the kit just for the stamp set alone. It's super adorable. It's so adorable. I love it. And the stamp sets that come in our kits are exclusive. So that's the only way that you can get the stamp sets, is by purchasing a kit. So that is the Robot Buddies card kit. It is $32. You get everything that I showed you in the box, plus this fabulous box, which these are so great for so many different things. They're like our paper pumpkin boxes, except they're just craft. And yeah, I mentioned the price, $32. Okay. All right, now the other thing is, before we get into crafting, I did not have a chance to do the draw for last week's prizes. So last week I shared these 2 cards. We had a fun fold, so an easel card fold, and then another simple calming kind of card using the new collection called Waves of the Ocean. So I will draw for those later today and post the winners. And the way that you can get your name entered to win, I'm only doing one card today, but it's a little bit more involved. There's lots of pieces to it, so only one card. But the way that you can get your name entered is by just participating in the conversation. So comment, ask questions, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay. So I always go back and kind of look at the questions in the comments afterwards, and I try to answer your questions. And then if you share the video, you also get entered as well. Okay, so I will post the winners for those two projects a little bit later. Oh, one last thing, sorry, I forgot about this. I am doing a draw. So similar to last month, remember I had 2 grand prizes for anyone who placed an order with me over the course of the month. Your name got entered into winning a grand prize. Well, I decided to carry on with that, and I have 2 of these Mischievous Mice stamp set, which is a host set from the January to June mini catalog. So I decided to give this away to one lucky winner. I will draw in April. So if you place an order with me throughout the month of March, your name will automatically get entered. Okay, so if your order is under $200, make sure you use the March host code. Okay. Or if you are registering for a class and you're using the class host code, your name will still get entered. So, and if you've already placed an order with me this month, your name will get entered. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out, and then one lucky winner will win this set, and it is super cute. So like I said, I have a project to share with you today, and then I will hopefully have a couple more before the end of the month as well to share with you. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we are doing, this is Fun Fold Friday, and we are doing a diagonal joy fold card, which is a super fun card. Now I love fun folds, but I like those fun folds that don't require a whole bunch of finicky scoring and cutting and that type of thing. So although there are lots of pieces in the card that we're creating today, you don't have to have lots of pieces. There just happens to be lots of layers in the card that I created. This is a really simple fun fold to create. Okay. All right. So first of all, let me share what I'm using. I am using the Heart and Home DSP, which is from the January to June mini catalog. It's from the Heart and Home collection. Look how pretty this one is. Love that one. I love this one as well. There's so many great patterns in here. We've got that. We've got this one. And then this is a favorite as well. You can tell that it's a favorite because I don't have a full sheet left. And then we flip it over, and there's all sorts of like white and basic gray wood grain kind of patterns, which are so fun. In my opinion, you can never have enough wood grain patterns. I love using these for backgrounds on scrapbook pages. I'm going to use it as a background on the project that I create today. They're just great if you're looking for just a subtle pattern. And if you look at this, they go so beautifully with all of these patterns. In particular, I love these 2 together. Those 2 together and this one together. I mean, they go well with all of the patterns, but so pretty. Love them. All right, so that is the DSP that we're using today. I'll set that aside. And then the bundle that we're going to use is the Quiet Meadow bundle. So Quiet Meadow stamp set, Meadow dies. These are on sale for 20% off until the end of the month or while supplies last. It's a beautiful bundle. The card that we're creating is kind of a vintagey kind of card. But then I'm going to share a couple alternates with you afterwards. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I am going to quickly go through the measurements of the pieces that I have here. There are a lot of pieces. Just know that you can refer back to my blog a little bit later today after my Facebook Live is done. I will head over and add the video and just a few final touches to the blog post, and all of the measurements will be in that blog post. Okay, so don't try to madly write them down. Just make a note to go back and reference today's blog post. Okay, all right, so we've got a card front that measures 5.5 by 8.5, and we're gonna do our cutting and scoring while we go along here. So 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to use our paper trimmer. We're going to put it in long side at the top, and we're going to score it. So the light piece here, the light gray, we're going to score it at 4 1/4. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to line up this score line with our track where our cutting blade goes, and this end with the track. So we're going to cut it from the top of the score line to the lower right corner. And this time we're going to use the dark, and we're going to cut. This piece you can set aside. We're not going to use that. We'll save that for a different project. Okay, so that is our card base. And then we've got another piece of cinnamon cider. This measures 3 inches by 8 inches, and we're going to score this at 4 inches. Okay, and then we're going to set that aside. Now we've got 2 pieces of pale papaya. They measure 4 by 5 1/4. One of them is going to remain intact as it is. The other one, I'm going to line up the top left corner with the bottom right corner in my track, and I'm going to cut it diagonally. Okay, this piece we can save for a different project. We'll keep this piece. Okay, we also have, I'm going by color here, 2 other pieces of pale papaya. These measure 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, I'll just set those aside. Then we've got a piece of one of those wood grain patterns, and this piece measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, and we've got a piece of this beautiful patterned paper. This piece measures 3 7/8 by 5, and this piece we're going to line up the top left corner with the bottom right corner, and we're going to snip it. Okay, this piece we'll set aside to use for a different project. This one we're going to use on our project. And then I've got 2 white pieces that measure 2 5/8 by 3 5/8. You'll also need a scrap of white and a scrap of vellum as well. Okay, so like I said, lots of pieces, but when you see the basic mechanism of this fold, you'll see how simple it is. You do not need all these layers. I just decided to add all these layers. Okay, all right, so let's see. First thing that we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and do our stamping. So I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to bring in one of my smaller white pieces and my envelope. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my envelope as I go along. So I'm going to use this large floral image from the Quiet Meadow stamp set and some cinnamon cider ink. Let's just set that aside. I'm going to flip this around this way. Good morning, Auntie Judy. Oh, but all my aunties are watching today. Okay, who else have I missed here? Let's see. Good morning, Kim and Shauna and Lana and Christine and Lila, Sarah, Mary. Oh, thanks, Mary. Welcome. I know the wood grains are fabulous, aren't they, Sarah? Love them. And good morning, Linda. Okay, so I'm going to take this image and we're going to ink it up using cinnamon cider. Hey, Carol. Good morning. Make sure it's really nice, well inked. And we're going to stamp it a little bit closer to the left-hand side. And I want to make sure that all of the flowers are showing. So a little bit of the stem will go off because it's a little bit longer than the piece of paper, but that's okay. All right, so we've got that. I'll slide that aside. I'm going to bring in my envelope. And I'm going to do the same thing. This one, I'm not as concerned with having all of the flowers on there. So if a couple of the flowers go off the edges, that's okay. And I don't want to put it too close to the top because that's where I will either write or put a label for the address. Okay, so we've got that. I can set that guy aside. We are going to need some more cinnamon cider, but we'll put that aside for now. Now I'm going to bring in some pale papaya and this fun little word stamp. And we're going to stamp off, and then we're going to stamp on. We're going to stamp off and on, off, and on. Okay, so we've got that so far. We're going to do the same thing on this piece here. So stamp off. So, and I'm just stamping off so that I have a really light background. And if I overlap the words, that's fine. The words aren't really there so that they're, I mean, you can read the words that are there, most of the words, but it's just meant to add a layer or some texture to it. Okay, so we've got that done. I think that's it for this color. Now I'm going to bring in some basic gray, and we're going to bring in this splatter image. So I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp off twice. So this is 3rd generation stamping. And then I'll rotate this and do it there. Okay, so that's what it looks like. We're going to repeat that on the envelope. Stamp off, stamp off, stamp off, stamp off. Okay, and there we go. So we've got a matching envelope. And we are done with that. Set that aside. Now we're going to bring back our cinnamon cider. And I'm going to rotate this way. We're going to use the blending brush and add a little bit of color around the edges. So I just want a I just want to soften around the edges. So I'm just going around the edges, just really lightly. So I'm tapping off the dark bits, starting on the scrap paper, and then in a circular motion, just moving that ink onto the cardstock. Okay. So if you look at it, can you see the difference? It just really softens it and gives it kind of a little bit of a vintage feel. And we're going to do the same thing for our envelope. So we are basically just repeating the same steps that we did on our card focal point onto our envelope. I think sometimes our envelopes get neglected. So it's nice to just make them pretty. A little peek at what's inside of the envelope. Okay, and we can even do this backside. So I'll just go around, just soften the edges just a little bit, and then I'll do this and do the flap. And we'll do this little bit right here. Okay. Put that away. I think we're done with the scrap. So now look at that. Isn't it pretty? It's so nice that the envelope matches. All right, so now what we're going to do to this piece, we've got one more thing that we're going to do. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to distress the edges, which is another way that you can get kind of that vintagey, antique-y kind of feel. We're going to go all the way around, all 4 sides. If you're using your paper snips when you do this, you do want to be very careful because our snips are very sharp. Okay. All right, let's get rid of that paper dust. And now I'm going to take my finger and kind of curl that up just a little bit and curl this up just a little bit. Okay, so that piece is done. Now we can go ahead and start assembling our card. So I'm going to take my card base and my bone folder and fold on that center score line. Okay, so this is how our card is going to open. It's just like that. Then I'm going to bring in my layers. So I've got my pale papaya and my piece of DSP. Now you want to double check all of your layers before you start sticking anything down. I did find that this piece of DSP, I needed to trim down just a little sliver. So what I'm going to do is I've got that lined up, and I'm just going to put a mark here. So then I'm going to line up this corner, because nothing needs to be altered or taken off at this top corner, just with this little mark right down here. And I'm going to use my guillotine cutter, which is off camera. So I apologize. I'll be off camera for just a second while I cut this. Okay. All right. It's just a little bit too big to bring on camera. Okay, and that looks much better. So I have a much more even border around the edges. Oops. Okay. So we're going to add our layers. I always like to start with my smallest layer and work down, because that way if anything needs to be adjusted, I can adjust it. Whereas if you start at the bottom and work your way up, it's hard to adjust those layers. Okay, so we've got that, and then this is going to go on here. That looks like it's lines up well. And I love cinnamon cider and pale papaya together. I'm actually, you know, when cinnamon cider came out as one of the in colors, I did not love it. I did not think it was a very nice color, but it has grown on me and I love it. I'm sad that it's retiring, which reminds me, if you have any of the 2020, 2022 in colors and you don't have ink refills, or if you absolutely love the colors, make sure that you stock up on some cardstock and make sure that you have ink refills. If you've got the ink refills for the ink pads that you have, you can continue to use those for years and years and years. So they are about to retire and they sell out quickly. Okay, so we've got that, This is going to go on the inside. I know, isn't it a beautiful color combination? I love it. I'm hoping that when Stampin' Up! Does a color refresh, which we are almost due for a color refresh. I'm not sure if they'll do it now just because of supply issues, but I really hope that they bring cinnamon cider back. Okay, and then we've got our 3 by 8 inch piece. We're just going to fold that in half. And, oh, you know what we did forget to do? This inside piece, this other piece of white that we have, I just want to sponge around the edges of this as well. I just want to carry that soft look throughout the entire project. Okay. All right, so now this is going to go on here. Just make sure, yeah, it looks good. And then this is going to go on the inside of our card. So can you see how I've got so many layers on this card? But once I add this piece, which I'll do next, you can see the basic fold. Okay, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to add adhesive to the back here. You do not need to add this many layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to center this side to side, excuse me, and up and down. I think that looks good. Okay, so this is how the basic fold goes. So like that. All right, so you don't need to add 2 layers in the back. You don't need to add 2 layers in the front. You could add a single layer, or even no layers if you wanted. So you don't have to do that. I just love the look of all those layers. I think it's so pretty. Okay, now we're going to take our focal point and add it to the pale papaya. Thanks, Shauna. It is a pretty cool fun fold, isn't it? And it's a simple one. Okay, so we're going to add that on there. And then we're going to take some linen thread and we're going to wrap it around a couple times. So I'm going to go once and twice. And then I'm going to tie a knot. And I want my knot to be kind of right in front of where my flower is. My flowers are. Okay, and then I'll grab my scissors and we're going to trim this. I'm going to trim it long because I still want to tie a bow. I just want to add something to it first. Okay, now we can add this to our card front, and I'm going to be really generous just because it's got that extra bulk with that linen thread that's on there. And we'll center that on there. Look how pretty this is. Love it. Okay. All right. Okay, now we need to bring in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss because we're going to do a little bit of die cutting to finish off our project. Okay, so on this little scrap of vellum, or from this little scrap of vellum, we're going to die cut this little butterfly. And then from our scrap of white, slide this guy over, we're going to die cut this little tag. I have rediscovered my love of a couple different tools lately. I am loving this little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss because I can have it sitting on my desk and I don't have to get up to use it. A lot of my dies fit in it, not all of them, but a lot of them do. So I can just sit there and reach for it and die cut what I need to do. Where did my vellum butterfly go? Oh, it's still on there. Okay. And then my Stamparatus. I've rediscovered my Stamparatus. I've always loved the Stamparatus, but I just wasn't using it very often because it was tucked away in a drawer. So I started leaving it on my desk and I am loving it. I've been using it so much, especially for greetings. Okay, so now we've got this little tag and we're going to feed this on here like this and tie a bow. Okay, and then I'll tweak it, make it look the way I want it to look and make my tag go where I want it to go. And you know what, that's not working. Okay, let's try this again. I want my tag to go like that. And you know what? I'm going to stick a little mini dimensional on here to hold my tag in place. Because I want my tag to sit at an angle like that. And then let's see if we can tie a bow so that it's going the right way. There we go. Okay. So adjust the ends and we'll trim this just a little bit. Okay, and then this butterfly, we're going to use, I know this bundle is so beautiful. I really like it. Laura and I did this bundle as a class to go a while ago. I think it might have been August maybe, or September. I'm just going to add a little bit of multi-purpose glue just to the body of our butterfly. And the butterfly is going to go on the tag. So I chose to use multi-purpose glue just because when that dries, you won't be able to see it behind it if you just use a light layer. And there we go. So I chose not to add a greeting to this because I like to have cards on hand where they don't have a specific greeting, so that if I need a thank you card or if I need a birthday card for somebody who likes vintagey kind of things, I could just stamp happy birthday on the inside. But here is our diagonal joyfold card. Is that not pretty? And look at our matching envelope. Super, super pretty. Love it. So I promised that I would share, excuse me, a couple alternates. So I've got one that I used another bundle from the Savings Are in Bloom promotion. This is the Celebrate Sunflowers bundle. Love, love, love this. And I did this in blue and yellow. So this is a card for the Ukraine. If you create blue and yellow projects or sunflower cards and use the hashtag cards for Ukraine, it's just sharing a way to add light in the darkness of what is happening right now. So I decided to use these colors with this beautiful bundle. This is one of my favorite bundles. I absolutely love this bundle and I think I bought it as soon as it came out with the catalog when it was released. And it's been around for a couple years now, and I still love it as much as I did before. So here is how it opens. So it's exactly the same measurements, except instead of 2 pieces of DSP, I used 1 piece of DSP for the diagonal fold. This is from the hand penned, oh, I wrote it down here, hand penned DSP, I think that's what it's called. And then this background piece, I used the stitched greenery die to add that stitching detail just to a piece of white rather than using a separate piece of DSP. The sunflowers colored in using blends, and then I used some of the little dots. These ones are from the Flowers for Every Season gems, which are retired. However, the polished dots, the clear polished dots, you could use those in its place as well. All right. And then I have one other cute little one. So this uses the mischievous mice. And this time, so you can see that it's the same card, except I did it going this way instead of going up and open. So, and look at that little mouse in the tucked in the cheese there. So cute. So an adorable little birthday card. And I chose to, I still kept the 2 layers in the background, but I chose to just do the 1 layer on this piece. And this DSP is from the, I've got it right here. Oh, and of course I've covered I think it's all together. I'm just looking for the cardstock little piece here here we go. It is the, yeah, Altogether 6x6 DSP. So it's all black and white patterns. So there are 3 samples featuring the diagonal, what did I say it was called? Now my mind has gone blank. A diagonal joyfold card, that's what it's called. All right, so I will have photos of these 2 on my website and all of the measurements if you want to recreate them. A little bit later today, and this one will be on my website a little bit later this week, and I will share a separate video that shows you all the measurements for this one and how to make that. And then I have an idea for a square version of this as well, which I'm going to try. So you can keep an eye on my blog next week for more information on that. And thank you so much for joining me. It's always nice to have people watching so that I'm not sitting here talking to myself. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to join me here. And remember that if there's anything that you saw me use that you would like to order, I'd appreciate if you visited my online store. If you use this host code and your order is less than $200, then you'll be entered to win one of these cute little stamp sets. All right. I hope you guys all have a fabulous weekend. And just a heads up, I will not be here next Friday for Facebook Live because I will be at a crafting retreat. So exciting. So yeah, so I won't be crafting live with you next Friday. However, the following Friday I will be here. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care.